Sangitu Yochayang Attakilamakan. Good evening, Dhamma friends. Wish you all the blessings from the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. It is Saturday, July 5th. I would like to begin this evening Sutta Studies with so much blessings in mind. In terms of giving blessings, we have compassion in mind for everyone, and I wish you happiness and peace based on that compassion I have. I know that you all Dhamma practitioners, you all have blessings in your thoughts so that your blessings travel all around, giving us happiness and peace. Today's Sutta Studies is about the first discourse of the Supreme Buddha. The reason why we selected this discourse is because of the month. It is called Asala month, the month that the Buddha delivered the first discourse after his attainment to full enlightenment. So we are going to begin it by paying respect to the Supreme Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I pay my homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully enlightened Buddha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear friends, learning about Dharma and learning the Dharma are two things. Learning about Dharma means you learn the Dharma so you can collect data, information a lot so that you know what the Tripitaka says, what the Atthakatha says, what the other books about Buddhism says. It doesn't mean that you have absorbed the Dharma very much, but you have the knowledge about it. Learning Dharma means you not only get this theoretical understanding about Dharma, but you of course practice it as much as you could. So long you learn the Dharma and keep them in your mind and put them into practice, the better understanding or realization come to you in a way you experience it. So both should be going together hand in hand. Otherwise, we live empty-headed people in the world, which means you know what it is, but you don't have really in your life. Our devotees and us are trying to develop the Dharma in us, as the Buddha said, by learning the Dharma theoretically. This Sutta study, is trying for doing that, and the Buddha, as the teacher, want us to do so that we are happy that we are making it possible. In today's Dhamma Sutta discussion, we have focused the very important discourse in the Tripitaka. It becomes very important because it is the first discourse of the Buddha. It is the discourse that expresses the presence of the Buddha and the Dhamma and the Sangha. As you know, the history of the Buddha Sasana, the Buddha was, in meditation well before the full moon day of May, and he attained full enlightenment without anyone helps. And then he spent 7 weeks near the Bodhi tree reflecting the Dhamma. It is said in many Nikayas and other, books, and also some sort of historical evidences that he was reflecting the Dharma just to experience, just to taste the Nirvana. It is, of course, also a kind of time for the Buddha to organize his thought in the Dharma, because he has seen everything. Now he's going on and on every big aspect of the Dharma for his peace and happiness. Of course, he had attained peace, but he want to taste it, and it's a kind of organization in his mind to deliver. As you know, after 2 months, he was ready to do so with the invitation by the head of Brahma realm, Sahampati. A lot of people say that why did the Buddha, wait for the invitation? Friends, it is because of the greatest things that the universe experience, so that some of the recognized body should come and invite the Buddha. That is how I understand it. What is your thought about it? So anyway, even if the head of the Brahma realm did not come and invite the Buddha, Buddha was born into that state for the same purpose, for the purpose of delivering the Dhamma, for the purpose of making people aware about the ignorance that people entangle, so that even if the Sahamprati Mahabrahma did not come and invite the Buddha, Buddha appeared in the world to deliver the Dhamma, deliver the message of wisdom. So I think that's my personal point of view. Anyway, this Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta is significant because it is the discourse that he revealed the world, that he attained full enlightenment. And then when he delivered this discourse, the Dharma and also the Sangha, two gems, appeared for the world. Then it is also the proclamation of the middle path. So he first told the bhikkhus over there that two extremes that the mendicant should not follow. It means that everyone should not follow that, those two extremes. So that is the first important things in the discourse. Kama Sukallika Yoga and Atthakila Matan Yoga are regarded as negative practices for any person. The end results of these two practices are nothing but the going on sansara as humans or other living beings, because you are putting fuel of a greed, hatred, and ignorance further, so that the fire is not extinguishing. So then, as I said, proclamation of middle way is happening right after. So that is a big revelation. And then a statement of the Four Noble Truths is also there. For the first time in this era, after, a Bodhisattva attained full enlightenment, that is one of the things the Buddha, does, statement of the Four Noble Truths. Then declaration of the Buddha's supreme enlightenment. So while the Buddha tells the world that I avoided extreme and practiced the Noble Eightfold Path, and I realized the Four Noble Truths, it is a kind of proclamation of the supreme enlightenment of the Buddha. That also happened within this discourse. And then we can see that the Devas from different categories, uh, you know, express their happiness about the revelation of the Dhamma, about the revelation of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha to the world. And then one of the best thing happened over within the discourse. One of the 5 monks attained to the first stage of enlightenment. Means that this Dhamma could be understood by us despite certain things we have in our life. So I think this discourse is significant because of these 6 points I pointed out. Let me briefly mention them again. The exhortation of on avoiding the stream of sensual indulgence and self-mortification. That's the first one. Then the second one, proclamation of the middle way, Majjhima Patipada. Third one is a statement of the Four Noble Truths. And the fourth one is declaration of the Buddha's supreme awakening. And the fifth one is the happiness of devas from different categories. They were expressing their happiness. And the last one is Venerable Kondanya's attainment to supreme entry position, stream entry position. So these are the six significant things within the discourse. There are many things. So friends, learning this discourse, no matter how many times we read it before, is giving us kind of confidence about our practice, which means we develop Shraddha on the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. The discourse to know about Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta is Arya Pariyesana Sutta and also Mahasatchika Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya. If I say this again, if you want to know the background story of Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, you better read two discourses from the Majjhima Nikaya. One is Arya Pariyesana Sutta and the other one is Mahasatchika Sutta. Both discourses were delivered by the Buddha, and later Venerable Ananda reported them to the world. The Buddha is talking about his own quest for enlightenment, what exactly he was doing well before he left the palace, and what happened to what kind of situation were there when he left the palace, and what he was doing mainly after the great renunciation. During that 6 years period, he was doing certain things that belongs to self-mortification. They are explained very nicely, so that we can read these two discourses by the side of Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta in order to understand the important factors of the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. I do not go to read them now, but if I want to mention the background of the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, of course, I took these two discourses, Arya Pariyesana Sutta and Mahasatchika Sutta from Majjhima Nikaya. So now, let's go into the content of the discourse. So, as said, Venerable Ananda was telling us that this happened at the, Isipatana. It is not a monastery. It is a place where a lot of religious leaders, religious people come and stay for, bodily and mental rest. Perhaps when they went to other places, that would be the place they stay for a certain period of time, so that the country decide that place is for people called Isi. That's why it's called Isipatana. So the five monks who actually now we call five monks, but before this discourse, they are not called monks, but they are mendicants. So they were living there, so that the Buddha had to travel long distance to meet them to deliver the first discourse. If I go to the history little bit of so that you can see that the Buddha was traveling from another city to this is Varanasi to deliver the discourse. Well, before that, he decided that I should go to the Isipatana, because Uddakaramputta and Alarkarama, they were quite capable people of understanding Dhamma, but they were not lucky enough to hear the Buddha's Dhamma from the self-enlightened Buddha. But Venerable Kondanya and the other four monks were having that merits in their account. In the middle of the way, Upaka or someone the Buddha met, and the Buddha was telling that I'm such a person, and I'm going to deliver the Dhamma to the world. But Upaka was not in that mindset to understand the Dharma. So, in many commentaries, it says that because of the determination of Venerable Kondanya and the other four monks from many lifetime, no one is to listen to the Buddha sermon for the first time. They were having that determination and enough merits to do so, so that even Upaka or anyone else could not, hear the Dhamma from the Buddhas. So they are recorded in the suttas, they are recorded in commentaries. So that's how we build the story of the first discourse in a magical way. Friends, the story itself is beautiful, but when you go to the Dharma in the first discourse, it's more beautiful than story. Because you see the real Buddha, you see the powerful Dharma in the first discourse. As I said in the beginning, this is the sutta that the Buddha declared his enlightenment, and this is the discourse that he asked us to avoid too extreme and put the middle way into the application. There, the Buddha explained the Noble Eightfold Path, so that the statement of the Four Noble Truths is happening in a magical way. We don't see that the Buddha explained the Four Noble Truths with so much details, but it's a kind of statement. So I'm telling you that I realized the Four Noble Truths. These are the Four Noble Truths. The very discourse that the Four Noble Truths are explained extensively is the Satya Sutta, again from Majjhima Nikaya by Venerable Sariputta. So Venerable Sariputta's exposition about the Four Noble Truths in details is the very discourse that the Four Noble Truths are explained in a beautiful way than Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. But the significant thing of the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta is the three phases of each truth. We do not find it anywhere else in the Tripitaka. Tiparivattang dvadasakarang yatabhutang jnanadasanang udapadi. Buddha said that before I did not have this knowledge, this light, this wisdom about the first noble truth, second noble truth, third noble truth, and the fourth noble truth. In three phases, I understood, I realized the four noble truth in 12 ways. So that is not found any other discourses. Only this discourse you find it. So that it is really significant. As I said, when you read the discourse, those who have Dhamma knowledge and experience can go into deeper aspect of it. Not only that, they can bring that venerations to the Buddha in a magical way, and our mind goes away from five hindrances. Wow, because it's so powerful. One can attain to samadhi level by reading and reflecting the discourse Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, because it's so powerful. I know many of you have read this many times. I think you have listened to the Dhamma discourses on this particular discourse many times. You yourself read it and analyze it. Perhaps you have talked to somebody about the content of the discourse many times, but still, this is a very tasty piece of Dhamma. There are these two extremes that are not to be indulged by one who has gone forth. Which two? That which is devoted to the sensual pleasure with reference to the sensual objects, based, vulgar, common, ignoble, unprofitable. And then the Buddha talks about the second extreme in the similar pattern, but the Buddha used only a couple of words to define it: self-affliction. That is the translation, self-mortification, and it is painful, ignoble, unprofitable. So the self-indulgent or sensual indulgent is base, which is very low, vulgar, common, ignoble, and unprofitable. Dukkho, Anaryo, Anatta Sanghito are the three terms the Buddha used for the second one, Atthakilamattana Yoga. But for the Kamasukhalyana Yoga, Buddha used five terms: Hino, low; Gammo, the word this translation uses is vulgar; Hino Gammo; Potujjaniko, very common; and then ignoble, Anaryo, and Anatta Sanghito, unprofitable. Why did the Buddha use five terms for sensual pleasure, Kamasukhalikana Yoga, and only three terms for Atthakilamattana? Because it says in many ways that the most dangerous one is Kamasukhalikana Yoga. Those who have practiced Atthakilamattana Yoga at the time of the Buddha got away from householder matters. They were not enjoying senses anymore. They had kind of Indriya Sangvara because they were away from various householder living. Relatively, they might find a divine place for it, because when you overcome the pleasure of senses, you can have that merit in your mind. You can get kind of momentum to reborn in divine existence. But when you practice Kamasukhalikana Yoga, self-indulgence, you develop lot of akusala, a lot of sources for various stages of unhappiness. So that in many ways, Kamasukhalikana Yoga is being explained as the most dangerous extreme. But Buddha did not use the term. This is our explanation. This is our understanding. So Buddha said clearly, avoiding both of these extremes, the practicing middle way realized by the Tathagata is producing great vision, knowledge, and it leads to calmness, and it is leading to direct knowledge, direct experience about everything, and finally it leads to self-awakening and Nibbana. So when you avoid too extreme and practice the middle way, you are leading to experience those important things. You are going to get that vision, dasana, that vision, that dasana is not gained by anyone from anything, but by practicing the middle way, the Noble Eightfold Path. Therefore, your knowledge is going to be accurate, and the calmness is achieved, and the direct knowledge is appearing in you because your mind is calm, so that you are going to experience nirvana. It is called awakening. So the Buddha said that I got the self-awakening because of practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, or the middle way. See, there is another significance. Buddha, after this discourse, did not use the Majjhima Patipada quite often. Only this time and one or two times he uses that word Majjhima Patipada, because the Buddha did not want to use that word. Why? For the first time when he delivered the Dhamma, he wanted to tell the world that the self-mortification and indulgence in sensual pleasures is wrong. So these are too extreme. We should avoid them. So then the Majjhima Patipada doesn't mean that between these two extremes. So Majjhima in common sense is kind of middle part of certain things, two things. But it doesn't mean that the taking one part of the first extreme and the other part and make this middle way. No. The term is used to tell that these two are completely avoided, but the path is middle. It means it doesn't lead anyone to any extreme. Not only these two, but Attavada, then the Aditya Samupannavada, Kiriyavada, there are many views that people should not associate. So avoiding all these extreme means the middle way. That's why the Buddha used this term. But after this discourse, he rarely used this term Majjhima Patipada, but he used the word Ariya Atthangika Magga. Even in this discourse, he uses that term later on. Now the Buddha wanted to explain the middle way in details. As I said, but Venerable Sariputta did that in a marvelous way in Satyavibhanga Sutta. Buddha wanted to tell this to the 5 monks as a way of introduction. What is the middle way realized by the Tathagata? See, at this point, only the Buddha understood the middle way, so that no one know it. So that Buddha is telling that I was doing this. This is the thing I did. That's why he is Majjhima Patipada Tathagatena Abhisambuddha. Tathagatena Abhisambuddha. Realized by the Tathagata. Precisely this Noble Eightfold Path. The Buddha said, exactly the middle way is this Noble Eightfold Path. This is how we say it in the Pali version. Majjhima Patipada Tathagatena Abhisambuddha Chakku Karani Jnana Karani Upasamaya Abhinyaya Sambodhaya Nibbānaya Samvatati. Precisely speaking, Ayameva Aryattangiko Maggo. Precisely speaking, it is the Noble Eightfold Path that consists of Sammaditthi, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. So, now, having said this, Buddha said this Noble Eightfold Path is leading you to Chakku Karani. So, when we practice the Noble Eightfold Path, what happened to us is Chakku Karani. We are going to have Chakku Karani, which means kind of vision arises in us that everything is such. Before it, we stray ourselves on views. But when you know the Noble Eightfold Path, you are going to have the first one of it, Sammaditthi. Sammaditthi arises in us when we know the middle path, the Noble Eightfold Path. With Sammaditthi, we are going to have Chakku Karani. Chakku Karani or Dhamma Chakku, these are two terms that we speak here. It means that Yoniso Manasikara and Sammaditthi are being discussed in these two terms. Chakku Karani. Jnana Karani. Upasamaya. Chakku Karani, Jnana Karani, Upasamaya. When you know the Noble Eightfold Path, theoretical and practically, Chakku Karani is taking place, Jnana Karani is taking place, and then Upasamaya is taking place, Abhinyaya is taking place, Sambodhaya, Nibbānaya Samvāda. This is why you're going to have these things in your experience. So, having practiced or having known the Noble Eightfold Path fully, I got these things, the Buddha said. So now Buddha introduced the Noble Eightfold Path or Majjhima Patipada for the 5 monks. Then the Buddha immediately after explained the 4 noble truths. Each self-enlightened Buddhas keep these 4 noble truths as their central teaching. And when they explain the Dhamma, they always center on the 4 noble truths. Here and there we find different discourses, long, and small and middle length. So various discourses are there. Buddha seems talking about various things about our life, out of our life, about the world. But everything is connected to the 4 noble truths. That's why this is going to be the central teaching of the Buddha. It is recorded in Maha Hattipadopama Sutta by Venerable Sariputta with the simile of elephant footprint. So now the five monks are listening to the Four Noble Truths. So another thing I forget to tell you. When the Buddha visited the Isipatana monastery, five friends, Kondanya Vappa, Mahanama, Baddi, Asaji, they were in a place where, they meditated, they spent their, time meaningfully, and they saw the Buddha is coming towards him. They recognized him because they were five people who saw the Prince Siddhartha's young age, middle, youth, and even when he was a married person, they knew everything about Prince Siddhartha, Gautama Siddhartha. They knew about each step of the self-mortification of the Gautama ascetic, so that they could recognize the Buddha. Do you see any significance here? Because a lot of people in today's world, of course, those who do not know much about the Buddha, make the Buddha divine with various colors, various things in his body based on the 32 characteristic features, Mahapurusha Lakshana. But here, five monks did not recognize anything significant from his body. Only thing they said in the discourse, if you read the Arya Pariyas and Mahasatchika, they say that Prince Siddhartha is coming. The ascetic Gautama is coming after spending a luxurious life. Look at him. He's now like a prince. He stopped the important path for enlightenment because he failed it. So now he's coming just like a prince. We should not venerate him because he is now below us, because we are still mendicant, but he is not, because he ate food and then he stopped that rigorous practices in self-mortification. But we should give him a seat because he's from royal family. That's all we need to do. But these five monks were unable to, stay in the agreements because of the power of the Supreme Buddha, because of their fortune as well. But what I'm trying to say here is from the Buddha's physical appearance, they did not recognize anything. They could not see any signs of enlightenment. Even the discipline of the Buddha is not recognized well, because the Bodhisattva also was very disciplined person. He was talking, in a beautiful way as a royal, and then he was his physical behavior was up to the point even as the Bodhisattva, so that these five monks did not recognize his Buddha's attainment to enlightenment by physical appearance, physical, nature. When the Buddha sat down on the seat and said that I attained to enlightenment, they did not believe it. Why? Because there was no point for them to, accept it. But one thing Buddha said alarmed them to realize that, we are wrong. The ascetic Gautama has understood the things that a bodhisattva should understood. So yeah, we accept that you say you are the Buddha now. What is that? He said that, have I told a lie before? Have I told you or anyone that something did not happen? So I'm telling you, do you remember any time of my princely life that I tell a lie? No, that's the point. The five monks got into and understood the Buddha is telling the truth. Then only they were ready to listen. Otherwise, they were not paying attention to the Buddha because they thought that this man came after, eating a lot and making his body fat, and now he's spending a very luxurious life. He is not considered a mendicant anymore. So something like that going on in their mind. So then only the Buddha started telling this, the two extreme and the middle way, and also the Four Noble Truths. You thought that the Four Noble Truths centers on dukkha, suffering. It is also called unsatisfactoriness. One word may not be enough to explain everything about dukkha, but we can use couple of words. We can use phrases. We can use a lot of sentences. It's fine, because by the word dukkha, we do not mean only physical pain, discomfort, but it talks about the suffering in many ways. So this is the center of the Buddha's teaching. If I simplify these Four Noble Truths, I would say this: we realize that there is a problem, and the problem arises because of these reasons. And now, if we see the problem and the way the problem arises, the way the problem, arose, there is a chance of ending the problem. And how do we end the problem? There should be a method. This is the simple technique or the formula to understand the Four Noble Truths. It doesn't mean that the Four Noble Truths could be realized fully by way of this kind of simple analogies or techniques. But in order to glance it fully, we can use that kind of things. So here the Buddha said, "Idanko pana bhikkave dukkhang arya satchang." Each words here mean a lot. Remember that. Idang dukkhang arya satchang. Arya satcha. This is not a normal, average truth. It is a noble truth. Why do we use that arya in front of satcha? Because it is noble. It is noble. Anyone who understands these four is going to be noble. That is one meaning. And this is a universal truth. It doesn't belong to a particular living beings or particular human. It is relevant to each and every living beings in the world. That is the second reason why we call noble. And it is not a creation by the Buddha. It is the universal truth. What did the Buddhas do was they realized this truth and proclaim it to the world, so that it is not a creation by any Buddha. It is the universal truth among living beings. It is not related to immaterial things. It is related to living beings. So therefore, it is called Arya Satya. No one can dispute it. It is another significant thing for this term, Arya. No one can deduct it. No one can add anything to it. No one can refute it. So that it is called Arya Satya. So, Idankopana Bhikkhave Dukkhang Arya Satya. Now, these explanations to the first noble truth, rising of dukkha, is explained in many ways. Jatipi dukkha, jarapi dukkha, vyadipi dukkho, maranampi dukkhang, api sampayogo dukkho, piyehi vipayogo dukkho, yampichang nalabati tampi dukkhang, sankittena panchubadana kanda dukkha. How many dukkhas the Buddha talk here? 11. Jati, Jara, Vyadi, Marana 4. Api Sampayogo Dukkho, Pihi Vipayogo Dukkho 6. Yampichan Labadi Tampi Dukkang 8. So in details it's going to be 11 or 12 or whatever. Here it's 8 terms are are used to explain the first noble truths. It covers everything. It covers all kind of suffering that living beings experience. Not only humans, all living beings. From the hell to the Akanita Brahma realm, across all living beings experiences the suffering as it said, as it said in the first noble truth. Jatipi dukkha, jarapi dukkha. If you go to the translation, you see um, the birth is stressful. The word Bhikkhutanisaro is used here is stressful. The birth is suffering, the aging is suffering, death is suffering. We see the Pali letter there, jatipi. So, jatipi, jarapi, vyadipi. So, P is there for the first four. Then we don't see it. So, why do we use it? It means just no, at this moment, this birth, then again aging and sickness, something like that is mean. Not only this birth, but there are other suffering as well due to birth. That's what it means. So we know from many ways that birth to a life is giving us so much suffering. No matter how, no matter where you are, no matter where you get a rebirth, it's going to be a mass of suffering because of the things we experience after birth. Whether you are a divine being, still you have to consume food, still you have to feel things, still you have to use your senses. So due to the extensive way of enjoying sensual pleasures in divine existence, you are going to have suffering. The level of suffering may different from human and animals, but there is a suffering there as well. So that any birth, whether it is terrestrial or celestial, whether it is inferior or superior, they are all they all entail suffering. So jara is a result of birth. They are of course talking about as units of suffering, but first one is giving us so much suffering. So you see all these terms is used in a beautiful way. Then this is called dukkhaṃ ariya saccang. Sankitena panchupadanakkhandha dukkha. In short, in a summarized version, the five aggregates of clinging is dukkha. Friends, jati, jara, vyadhi, marana. Then here, api sampayogo dukkho, piye vipayogo dukkho, yampi chandalabhiditavaka, and so on. They are all come under this term, sankittena panchupadana kanda dukkha. In short, if I speak in succinct, the attachment to five aggregates, Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana, is called dukkha. It is explained in many ways in later discourses, but here the five monks are quite capable of understanding the deep meaning of this short statement. That's why Venerable Kondanya became the real disciples of the Buddha with the attainment to Sotapanna. So they were very intelligent, so that they could understand the meaning. So that is a significant term, as you see. And then the Buddha talks about the second noble truth. What is the dukkha samudaya? It is also a noble truth because it is relevant to everyone. And in the samudaya satya, we talk about tanha pono bhavika nandiraga sagta tatra tatra abhinandini sayyatidam kamatanna bhavatanna vibhotanna. See, as you know the Dhamma into a greater extent, you see each syllabus here is important. Tanha pono yayang tanha pono bhavika nandiraga sahagata tatra tatrabi nandini. The tanha is defined here very well. What is tanha? Nandiraga sahagata tatri tatrabi nandini pono bhavika. Tanha is something that gives you a next birth, Pono Bhavika. That essence is always there in thoughts. You're going to be reborn. Anything that helps you reborn is nothing but Tanha. Then it has Nandiraga Sahagata. It has the sense of uh, attachment. It has a sense of making you sensually happy. Nandiraga Sahagata. And Tatra Tatra Abhinandani. Anytime and every time get the opportunity with form, feel, with form, sounds, and so on, you are going to have this particular Tanha. So Tanha is explained in a beautiful way in the first discourse. I don't see any place that the Buddha or disciple of the Buddha explain Tanha in this manner. So this is the very place that the Buddha explained it. Tatra tatra binandini nandiraga sangata ono bhavika. So these terms provide enough and quite nice explanation what Tanha is. Tanha is such that it produces the necessary conditions for next birth. In the present moment, it has the glowing nature, it has the nature of attachment in it. With anything we experience, anything means any form, any sound, any taste, any smell, any touch, and any thinking. It could have so that it's called tanha. So the dukkha samudaya is nothing but tanha with this explanation. Then this is also understood by me. And then I came to know that this is of dukkha and this is the dukkha samudaya. And now I came to know that dukkha samudaya could be stopped. Dukkha is not stopped unless we do something for dukkha samudaya. So here dukkha samudaya is being tackled well and stopped completely, and is called dukkha nirodha. Dukkha samudaya is dukkha samudaya is being stopped by the Buddha, and it is called dukkha nirodha. Idankopana bhikkave dukkha nirodhang arya satchang. This is the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. Yo tassayeva tanhaya asesa viraga nirodho chago patinissago mutti anale idankopana bhikkave dukkha nirodhang arya satchang. So the noble truth of cessation of suffering means you put an end to that craving, that tanha which we explained before. You put an end for its complete stop. Hereafter nothing left. Tanha asesa viraga nirodha. Yo tassayeva tanhaya. That very craving is completely stopped without any reminder. That is called dukkha nirodha. I said this a minute ago that dukkha samudaya is completely stopped and it is called dukkha nirodha. So therefore the dukkha is stopped as well. Dukkha is the results. Buddha is talking about the results. Dukkha is a result. And how these results come into exist because of dukkha, samudaya. There is a way of arising of dukkha. And if we treat the way of arising of dukkha, and dukkha is stopped. And how dukkha is stopped is being discussed in the dukkha nirodha. And the path for ending dukkha is being discussed in the dukkha nirodha gamini padipada. After that, Buddha said, Idankopana bhikkave dukkha nirodha gamini patipadari satchang. This is the path leading to the cessation of dukkha. Ayameva aryo attangiko maggo seyati idang sammaditi and so on. This is the path that is the Noble Eightfold Path, starting with Samma Ditti. So I think this much of explanation is quite enough for us to have that vision in mind. Because we see how significant this is. This has been explained, everything in it. So we now know how to apply this to our day-to-day experiences. Any suffering we experience has been could be able to explain with the formula of the Four Noble Truths why this come to be. So when you experience a suffering, in broader sense, suffering doesn't mean only unpleasant feeling. Even pleasant feeling is a suffering. So any time of the day, any time of your living, you can take any incident, you can put it into the Four Noble Truths formula. Okay, this is because of that reason. Because there may be many reasons, not one reason. So particular thing you are talking about is because of this thing and that thing, and how if I want to end this, what could be done? I could take decisions to end the causes of this thing, so that this is the way it happens. So anything and everything in human existence could be explained with the Four Noble Truth formula. So now in the discourse, Buddha so far explained the two extreme, and then he expresses the rising of the Majjhima Patipada, explain it in details. Now Buddha explained the Four Noble Truth. Now he is going to say, idang dukkang arya sacchanti me bhikkhave pubbe ananusutesu dhammesu Dhamma chakkung udapadi, jnanang udapadi, panya udapadi, vijja udapadi, aloko udapadi. So I did not realize the First Noble Truth in this way before, but until then I did not declare that I realized this First Noble Truth, Idan Dukkang Arya Sacchanti. If I say this again, Buddha said that Ubbe Ananutsutesu Dhammesu. This is not heard before. I did not hear, I did not know this before. I did not hear this before. No one heard this before. Untaught, unheard truth came to my mind. Ananusutesu Dhammesu came to my mind means the Dhamma Chakkung Udapadi. This untold, unheard truth came to my mind. It's called Chakkung Udapadi, Jnanang Udapadi. Its knowledge came to me. Panya Udapadi, wisdom came to me. Vijja Udapadi, its knowledge and vision came to me. And then Alok Udapadi, light arose in me. About what? About this is the noble truth of dukkha. Then Tanko panidang dukkang arya saccang parinyayantime. Then together with that knowledge that this is the noble truth of suffering, I also came to know that this truth, which truth? The noble truth of suffering should be known completely. Parinyayan means you should understand this truth completely. Excuse me. So first, I had the vision, knowledge, and wisdom, and the science and light about the First Noble Truth of suffering. And then I came to know that this should be known by me and everyone. And over the course of practice, I realized it is said like this. Pubbe Chakun Tanko Panidang Dukkang Arya Saccang Parinyātanti me bhikkhave Pubbe Ananusutesu Dhammesu Chakkung Udapadi. So Parinyātang. I'm trying to tell you these 12 ways of explaining the Four Noble Truth. In the regarding the first one, Idang Dukkang Arya Saccang Parinyayang Parinyātang. This is the noble truth of suffering, and it should be known, and I came to know it. Parinyata. The Buddha is talking about his work on the First Noble Truth, and it could be similar to us as well. We have to work on the same line, like the Buddha, like the noble disciple. So here the Buddha said, I came to know about this in many ways, and it should be known. I put myself into a position that I should know this completely, and I completed the knowing about it. Parinyata. Regarding the First Noble Truth, the Buddha studied the First Noble Truth in three levels, in three phases. Each level provide you, a knowledge, kind of experience. First, if you analyze this for us, first we have to know the First Noble Truth theoretically. Theoretically and practically, we can see, because we can see living beings are born, and then the immense suffering they experience, and we too experience suffering here. Jara, Vyadi, Marana, Api Sampyogo Doko, Pi Vipyogo Doko, and so on. We experience the attachment to five aggregates being a suffering. So we know it. Now we put a statement in us that we should completely know this. In that sense, we have to understand the five aggregates of clinging completely. Our study on Panchupadana Kanda should be there for us to know Parinyaya. Then we can say the third one when only we realize it. It means unless we attain to any stage of Sotapanna, Sakadagam, Yanagam, Arhat, we cannot say it. Of course, as a matter of saying, we can say it, but it is not relevant to us. Unless we attain to any stage of enlightenment, it is something foreign for us. So in order to say parinyatang, if we have to be simultaneously in the stage of enlightenment. So Anya Kondanya, at the end of the discourse, you see that Venerable Kondanya became Anya. What does this mean, Anya? He came to know about what? About the First Noble Truth in three ways, about the Second Noble Truth, Third Noble Truth, and the Fourth Noble Truth. Here it is said by many scholars that you can say Anya when only you realize the whole Four Noble Truths and attain to full enlightenment, Aransi. But the Buddha used the word Anya, means he came to know about the mechanism of the Four Noble Truths related to his mind. It means he has now seen Dhamma Chakkung Udapadi. Yankinchi Samudaya Dhammang, Sabbanta Nirodha Dhammang. Venerable Kondanya came to know about that Paticca in the Four Noble Truths related to his own mind. That's why Buddha used Anya. So what does this Anya means? Venerable Kondanya knew about these three phases, because the others were only now having theoretical knowledge, but they are confident that this is true. The very confidence they had now is that the Buddha has attained full enlightenment. So there we see the three phases, and if we go further, we can see Dukkha Samudayang Arya Satchang, Dukkha Nirodhang Arya Satchang, Dukkha Nirodhagamini Patipada Arya Satchang. So we have different terms for this. First, we see Parinyayang Parinyatang. Then we see Pahatabbang Pahinang for the second noble truth. And then third noble truth, Satchikatang, Satchikatabbang Satchikatang. And the fourth noble truth, Bhavetabbang and Bhavitang. So do you see the 12 phases, 12 factors there? First one, regarding the first noble truth, Idang Dukkhang Arya Satchang. This is the noble truth of suffering. Okay, now we have to know it. And then Parinyayang, we have to know it completely. Everyone has to know it completely. No one can miss one thing. No one can say that this is not suffering. Everything Buddha said there should be understood, should be known, should be realized. Now you work on it, and finally you say Parinyatang. You can say that particular statement when only you realize the first noble truth completely. Then we go to the second noble truth. Idang Dukkha Samudayang Arya Satchan. That is the first one. Now with the first noble truth, we have already discussed three phases. Fourth one is coming with the second noble truth, idang dukkha samudayang arya satcham. This is the noble truth of rising of suffering. Then it has to be pahatabba. The rising of dukkha should be overcome, should be abandoned. Now I have abandoned it. Once you abandon it, you can say it. So now we have been discussing six phases. Now we go to the third noble truth. The first one, idang dukkha nirodhang arisaccha. Now the noble truth of ceasing dukkha should be known. Now you know it. And it has to be satchikatabang. It has to be realized. There is a cessation, but it has to be realized. Satchikatabang. And now you say, I have realized. I have realized. Satchikatam. Now, nine phases are being discussed. Now we go to the fourth noble truth. Idang dukkha nirodhagamini patipadarya satchang. The 10th one, we are saying this is the path leading to the cessation of dukkha. And now we go to the 11th one, bhavetaban. This path should be practiced. This path should be followed. And then finally it says, bhavitang. Now I use it. Now I followed it. Now I completely done it. So when you say this, you have completed this 12 phases of the noble truth, which means you have gone on the noble eightfold path to realize all four noble truths, which means you are a full enlightened being. But as I said again, as I said before, I say this again, Kondanya, Venerable Kondanya, saw the four noble truths clearly to the level of Sotapanna, which means there is no doubt that he see the noble eightfold path, because Sotapanna means the one who clearly saw the noble eightfold path. One who have clearly saw the noble eightfold path has already seen the Paticcasamuppada, and he has touched the ground very well and stand clearly as a strong man. So when the Buddha explained the Four Noble Truths in these 12 phases, Sutta says, Yava kivancha me bhikkhave imesu chatusu arya satchesu evang tipariyattang dvadasakarang yatabhutang jnanadasanang na suvisuddhang ahosi nevatavahang bhikkhave sadevaki loke. It says here, until Yavakivancha me bhikkhave imesu chatusu arya satchesu. Before this, I did not explain the Four Noble Truths with details in this 12 phase. Until I say this, until I realize the Four Noble Truths in these 12 ways, I never proclaim me as the Tathagata. I proclaim as the Buddha. I proclaim myself as self-enlightened Tathagata. And after I finish the realization of the Four Noble Truths in 12 ways, Sadevake Loke, Samarake, Sabrakmake, Sasamanak Brahmaniya, Prajaya, Sadev Manus Anuttarang, Samma Sambodhing, Abhisambuddho, Dipachanyasi. So I came to know that I attained to full enlightenment, right, together with the realization of the Four Noble Truths in 12 phases. So that is what the Buddha said here. Jnanancha paname dasanang udapadi. I came to know that the knowledge that somebody has to gain has been done about everything. It means that I realize everything. I came to know about it. Akuppa me vimutti, akuppa me vimutti, ayamantima jati natidani punabhav. I came to know that my mind is imperturbable, in a state of imperturbability. which means my mind is not wavering now. My mind is not going to, get another birth. My mind has done that. Ayamantima Natidani Punabo. Hereafter, I know that there is no any birth. Ayamantima Jati. This is the last birth. Idamocha Bhagava Atmana Panchavagya Bhikkhu Bhagavato Basitang Abhinandundint. That 5 monks headed by Venerable Kondanya pleased so much about the Buddha's statement. They sat down there not accepting the Buddha, because they did not have that clarity about the Buddha's vision. But Buddha was able to make sure that he attained to full enlightenment by proclaiming all the stages of the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Now they realize that the Buddha is fully enlightened. This is the Dhamma he practiced for his enlightenment. So everything is cleared for these five monks, so that they were so happy. Simultaneously, imasmincha panaveyya karanasmin banyamani. While the Buddha explained the Four Noble Truths and also explain the Noble Eightfold Path, the Ayasmato Kondanyas Virajang Vitamalan Dhamma Chakung Udapadi Yang Kinji Samude Dhammang Sabbantan Nirodhamma. While the Buddha was doing that sermon, while the Buddha realized this very much, this is very important. The Sutta says, Imasmincha Pana Veyyakarnasmin Banyamani. While the Buddha explained the sermon, not after he finishes. He finished it. While the Buddha explained this, Venerable Kondanya's mind went into a super experience. Virajang Vitamalang. Virajang. Raja is a word for, dust. Here, dust means not the dust outside, created by the soil and air and so on, with the wind. This dust is mean the lobhadosa moha, or attachment or craving, ignorance in our mind. So when we add V in front of Raja, it means absence of that ignorance. Vitamala. Mala is another word for craving or attachment or akusala. So Vita means, when you add Vita, it is absence of that. So Venerable Kondanya's mind now has been reached into a state of absence of some sort of craving. We know it is Sakkaya Ditthi Vicikicca Silabhata Paramasa. So he realized what? Yankinchi Samudaya Dhammang Sabbantang Nirodha Dhammang. If there is something to arise with causes and conditions, that thing is going to end when the causes and conditions fade away. The very idea of Paticcasamuppada is realized by the Venerable Kondanya while this teaching happens. So his mind turned into a super state, not at the beginning, while the Buddha explaining the two extreme and the Noble Eightfold Path and the Four Noble Truths. While it is being explained, his mind gradually fallen into that state of, and the Buddha made a kind of proclamation that he attained to a stage of an Sotapanna right after he finishes his sermon. So this is the very core of Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. It succinctly explained. After this, Pavatitejapanna Bhagavata Dhammacakke Bhummadeva Saddha Manussavesun. When the Buddha, realized that when the Buddha finishes the discourse, and when Venerable Kondanya attained to a stage of Sotapanna, the devas who gathered there say sadhu, sadhu, something like that. It is said Saddha Manusavesum, Bhumma Deva, the divine beings who reside based on the earth, say kind of sadhu, sadhu, anything like that, something like that. and it makes a huge echo in not in the common environment, but in the living being's mind, Saddamanusavisung, and it was heard by the next level of devas. It's called Bummanandevana. First Bummadeva, then after Chatum Maharajiga Deva. Like this, it goes until the last layer of divine existence. So that is what is mentioned in the discourses. Itiya tena khanena tena muhuttena yava brahmaloka saddva abhuga. In a short period of time, each divine existence came to know about the revelation of the noble truth along with the noble eightfold path by the Buddha to the world. At the same time, Venerable Kondanya attained to the stages of Sotapanna that is being known by all divine beings. I'm not saying everyone, but those who are interested on it came to know about it in a short period of time. Tena Khanena tena muhuttena yava brahmaloka saddo abbugachi ayancha dasasahasi lokadatu sankame. Something happened there. Bhumichala, the kind of extraordinary things happen when certain things happen in the Buddha's life. And there are 8 things, and 6 of them, I think, happen based on the Buddha's life. And Dasasahasi Lokadatu Sankampi Sampakampi Sampavedi. Different world system, it says thousand and thousand world system felt that echo of the revelation. Appamanocha ularo obaso loke paturuhosi atikkamma devanan devanubavanti. Friends, that the radiant powers of divine beings are unimaginable. In some places, Buddha has told us that there are some divine beings brighter than the sun, brighter than the moon, brighter than the other stars in the planet. So their light is so brilliant. And even beyond this, powerful divine beings' color and radiance, this message went over Appamano Ularo Obaso Loke Patruhos. A kind of brilliant light rose in the world system related to all this world system because of this extraordinary happening. Atako Bhagava Imang Udanang Udane. At that point, when the Buddha made that Udana, happy statement, Anya Sivata Boho Kondanyo, Anya Sivata Boho Kondanyo, the Itidang Ayas Moto Kondanyas, Anya Kondanyo, Tweva, Namang Ahositi. So the Buddha said simply that the Venerable Kondanya is in a state of knowing, state of samadhi, state of sotapanna. Hereafter, he can be called as Anya Kondanya. So from that onward, all the Bantes, all the bhikkhus and bhikkhunis at the time of the Buddha, even today, we usually call Anya Kondanya, the one who knew the noble truth for the first time after the Buddha. So that is pretty much the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Friends, it is only a kind of discourse that the Buddha used to tell who he is and what the Dhamma he followed to self-enlightenment. And he says that for any person, these two extremes should be avoided if they wish to be in a happy state. And so it happens once a long time, because first discourse of a Buddha is taking place after a long time. So that is pretty much Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. And if you have any additions, if you have any questions, if you have any follow-up things, please feel free to share. I'm not surprised if you do not have any questions or comments, because everybody can understand the significance of the discourse along with the important factors of the discourse, so that only thing we can do here is making our mind happy about it. Let our qualities such as Shraddha develops very much about the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, and make sure that we are going to attain the same stages of enlightenment, just like Venerable Kondanya and other Bhantes in the groups. So we can renew our idea, we can renew our vision. So we are in the best vision in the world, in the universe, happy about it. So we have that vision. Our vision is nothing but the Noble Eightfold Path, and we are working hard to make the Four Noble Truths understood, so that we are in that position. So I'm not surprised of not having questions, because you understand it very good. So if you do not have anything to say, I might end today's with the discussion. We are in a period that the Buddha disclosed the world, that he understood the Dharma, and he became the self-enlightened Buddha, so that we were fortunate to get the Dharma from the Buddha, from the Mahasangha. So we should work hard to complete our training. Time to time we get this kind of encouragement, and this time of the year it happens very quickly and very well. And now I would like to share the merits with you. Thank you for coming and listening to the Sutta Studies. Take the Sutta and study more, because the more you read, the better understanding comes, and it helps you reflect more. And merits out of this 1 hour and 15 minutes discussion, may you be well, may you have quality of life further to complete your training and attain full enlightenment in this very life. With that thought in mind, I'm going to end today's Sutta discussion. May you be well, may you be happy, may you be peaceful.